What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at the way too early 2023 NFL Power Rankings. Let's see who we got. Okay, so let's see what this website has to say. They say that Arizona Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL, and it's not close. Quite frankly, Arizona has a shot at only winning 2 games next season. I don't know about that. I think they can get 4 or 5 wins. Bottom three defense paired with an offense led by Colt McCoy at quarterback for half of the 2023 season. That's a recipe to land the number one pick in 2024. And if that happens, Kyler Murray can hit the trade block. Okay, so I hear what they're saying here. They're saying that if they kind of tank, not necessarily tank, but like just do bad this year and only win 2 games, then they can get the number one pick and they can get the best quarterback in next year's draft, which probably will be Caleb Williams, which would set them up for success. And then Kyler Murray can leave and they can completely reboot their whole entire team. But as for now, I do think they are the worst team in the NFL, and they're just a mess. Not a good defense and not a good offense. Um, yeah, their offense was led by Colt McCoy half of the year, but Kyler Murray will lead it this year. But I don't even know if Kyler Murray's that good. I think he's a decent player, but I don't even know. Let's move on. And next up, we've got the LA Rams. The LA Rams are officially in a rebuild and couldn't come at a better time. The Rams will have the worst defense in 2023. Even with Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp on the field, wins will be rare at SoFi Stadium. Fortunately, every loss puts Sean McVay one step closer to landing an elite quarterback prospect to build his offense around in 2024. Okay, so this is like almost the same thing as the Cardinals. They have one of the worst defenses. They have a bad offense. Well, their offense is decent. Cooper Kupp's very good. Matthew Stafford is solid. Their defense is just horrible, and they're losing players every year. But what they're saying here is that every loss they get, just like the Cardinals, will get them like a number one, number two pick in the draft, and they can get a great player. So, um, yeah, I think the Rams got to be in the bottom three. I may have had them at like 29 or 30, but maybe I'll make my power ranking some point. All right, next up we've got the Tennessee Titans, who they fell short of acquiring the third overall pick, which might ultimately be the best for them. Even if Ryan Tannehill stays healthy, our expectations for this offense are very low, and this defense isn't good enough to carry the team at this point. Even with Will Levis on the roster, Tennessee's best move will be to tank for Drake May or Caleb Williams. So they want them to tank this year. I don't know if I agree with that. I think Will Levis is better than Drake May. Maybe not. I don't think he's better than Caleb Williams. But even if he's not, he's still a great player, and I think they can do a lot of good stuff with him. But the team around him is very slim. I mean, what are you going to do with Ryan Tannehill? Like, Will Levis is better than a backup. He's a starting player, but when you already have another starting player on the roster, then it's just a big mess. So let's move on next to the Bears. I actually kind of like the Bears team. Rebuilds don't happen in a day, but the Chicago Bears are taking all the right steps to eventually become an NFC North contender. Justin Fields will play behind a much improved offensive line, yeah, next season, and the Bears' offense should take a nice step forward. Defensively, there's still a lot of room to improve. Yeah, I do like this team, though. I think they're doing what they have to do to rebuild their team and be competitive again, and maybe make a run for their division. I think this year, I think they can get 8 or 9 wins. I don't know. That's a lot for them. I think they can do it if they really, really try. So moving on, we're gonna have the Colts, who just got Anthony Richardson, who people love. So Anthony Richardson, if he reaches his potential, the Colts have an MVP tier quarterback who can almost single-handedly carry this team on playoff runs. For 2023, though, Richardson will likely struggle, and the Colts have issues both the offensive line and defensively. It might be another rough year in Indianapolis, but the future's bright. Okay, I agree with this. I don't know if they're gonna be completely better right now with Anthony Richardson, but I think in the next couple of years, Anthony Richardson is going to step it up and he's going to be like maybe not an MVP tier quarterback, but like definitely a Pro Bowler. So that's what I feel about him. Okay, next up we have the Texans. Texans took a massive gamble in trading their 2024 first round pick to move up for Will Anderson Jr. That was, I don't know if I completely agreed with that, but it secured them a blue chip talent for DeMeco Ryans' defense, and they did an excellent job adding young contributors and multiple starters on both sides of the ball. While we're excited to see what play caller Bobby Slowick can do with CJ Stroud, it would be stunning if Houston didn't finish near the bottom of the NFL standings. I honestly think that CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. could lead them to having a solid team. Maybe not a playoff team, I don't think, but like 6 wins, I would say. I don't know if they'll finish so close to the bottom, maybe not this close, but maybe like I don't know, maybe like 23rd, 24th, somewhere in that area, I think. The next up, we have the Buccaneers. Buccaneers' offensive line remains a weakness. Tom Brady is gone, and the defense is getting older. If that wasn't bad enough, the Buccaneers are betting on either Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield to salvage the situation. You'll find Tampa Bay higher in consensus NFL power rankings, but we are not betting on this quarterback situation. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Just who are you going to start? And even if you start Kyle Trask or you choose Baker Mayfield, we don't even know if they're going to be good. They might end up getting benched and the other person will have to play. I don't think either of those quarterbacks are starting level. So we'll have to see. They weren't able to get a QB in the draft. So, yeah. Moving on. We got the Las Vegas Raiders, who Jimmy Garoppolo might execute the fundamentals for Josh McDaniels, but there's still very reason to believe in the Las Vegas Raiders heading into next season. Las Vegas was one of the most poorly coached teams in 2023. Yeah, and they blew a bunch of big leads. That was their falling, I don't even know what I'm saying, and collapsing in the fourth quarter. To make matters worse, this will likely be a bottom 10 defense. Yeah, I agree with everything they said. The coaching is just really bad there, and they couldn't keep a lead. They were up by like 20 a couple of games, but now they're just turning into the Falcons. So, let's move on. Oh, speaking of, here's the Falcons. Keep an eye on the Atlanta Falcons. While drafting Bijan Robinson is an example of poor use of draft capital, he will immediately be one of the best running backs in the NFL, and Arthur Smith will build the offense around him. In addition to Robinson, Atlanta boosts exciting weapons in Drake London and Kyle Pitt, all with a solid offensive line and an upgraded defense. I honestly think the Falcons could be a playoff team. I honestly do. Bijan Robinson is an absolute beast. I love him. But then on top of that, Drake London, I watched him all throughout college. He is incredible. They've got a great player in him. And then also Kyle Pitts is one of the best tight ends in the country. And then solid offensive line and upgraded defense. They've got the perfect team right now. I think people should be a little more afraid of them than they are. But next up we have the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton will get whatever he can out of Russell Wilson, which should lead to a few more wins in 2023 than we saw last season. However, this still isn't one of the more talented teams in the AFC. With the top of the conference loaded, Denver will likely get pushed around this fall. Yeah, I agree with that. Last year was just a complete mess. Like, Russell Wilson was hyped up. He got how much money? Like $250 million in 4 years. But it ended up being a bust last year. It was just terrible to watch. They absolutely fell apart. And I don't think it's going to be much different this year, but maybe they get a couple more wins, I think. With Sean Payton as their coach, Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame level coach. So I think with him on the team, they might be able to get a couple more wins. But I'm not saying they're going to be a perfect team. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers, who finally moved on from Aaron Rodgers and are now the focus turns in the future. I don't even know what I just said. In the short term, Jordan Love is an ideal setting to prove himself with a strong offensive line, above average weapons, and an excellent running game. Whatever happens in 2023, the Packers will likely have $70+ million in cap space and 2 first-round picks to use in 2024. Okay, yeah. So we need to see how is going to play, because my bad, because you don't know that yet. We have no idea. Like, Jordan Love could come out and be a top 10 QB in the country and shock the entire world. But they do have a strong offensive line. They have above average weapons and an excellent running game. So we'll have to see. I'm a believer. I think the Packers can be good again this year. Maybe a playoff spot. Maybe I have them falling a little bit short of the playoffs and just barely missing out. So next up, we have the Commanders. Don't sleep on the Commanders. If Jacoby Brissett wins this starting job, he'll perfectly fit into Eric Bieniemy's offense, and that should translate into far more frequent red zone scores than we saw in previous years. Add on a top 12 defense, and the Commanders are a good team. There are simply a lot better clubs out there. Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on them either. I know they were in a big mess with Dan Snyder and everything. It was just crazy last year, but Jacoby Brissett, I love Jacoby Brissett. On the Browns last year, I watched him. I hate the Browns, but I love Jacoby Brissett. And I hope he wins the starting job because he totally deserves to be a starting QB. But yeah, they got Eric Bieniemy, so that is huge for them. He's a great coach. I honestly thought he should have been a head coach, but he was not able to be one. But they have a top 12 defense, okay. And yeah, there are better teams. They're going to be better this year than they were before. Maybe a playoff spot, but maybe a little bit short. But next up, we have the Patriots. Yes. Bill Belichick clearly doesn't like the questions he's being asked about Mac Jones. However, the rift between the coach and quarterback is real, with Belichick's decision playing a crucial part in it. We still like New England's defense, especially with Christian Gonzalez and Bill O'Brien. It is a massive upgrade at offensive coordinator. There's just too much going on right now to buy into the Patriots as a legitimate contender. Yeah, I think so too. Like, you got Christian Gonzalez, who's number 2 cornerback in the draft. He is a great player. And then Bill O'Brien is an incredible big upgrade at the offensive coordinator position. But there's just a lot going on, and they're not together. They're not united. So we'll have to see what they do and how they're going to improve this year. But let's move on to the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints added Derek Carr, and he's the headliner for them, and he'll provide much needed stability for the offense. While Carr under center, it's easier to reduce the concern for a looming Alvin Kamara suspension, and even more so with Kendre Miller in the backfield. We also have to give New Orleans credit for prioritizing a defensive line via the 2023 NFL Draft after it really thinned out over the past 2 years. So yeah, Derek Carr, how good is he going to be? We'll have to find out. He played solid his whole career at the Raiders, and he was a Pro Bowler there, but we'll have to see how they do. Like, Alvin Kamara, yeah, there's a looming suspension for him, but we'll have to see what happens there, because Alvin Kamara, if he didn't get into all this stuff, I think he could be a Hall of Famer running back. But they do have Kendre Miller in the backfield, so that's big. But they prioritize the defensive line in the draft, which is very good. And yeah, it really thinned out the past 2 years. So that's fixed for them. But we'll have to see how it goes down. I think they can be a solid team, maybe a contender. Here we go. Playoff threats is what this is called. Carolina Panthers. Wow. Carolina Panthers have their franchise quarterback, finding the piece this team has missed for years. Bryce Young steps into a very good situation, playing behind a strong offensive line with a reliable supporting cast of pass-catching options and an excellent coaching staff. Throw in a defense that could be top 12 by December, and the Panthers are the pick to win the NFC South. Okay, so yeah, obviously they got their franchise quarterback in Bryce Young. Bryce Young is an incredible player, and here they say that they do have a very strong offensive line. Yeah, defense that could be top 12. Man, they've got the perfect team, honestly. An excellent coaching staff. I think they could be a playoff team and win their division. So watch out for the Panthers. And next up we have the Browns. I honestly don't think they're a playoff threat, but I didn't make this, so whatever. If the best on-field version of Deshaun Watson shows up in 2023, The Cleveland Browns have an outside shot of winning the AFC North. Yeah, I don't know about that. Cleveland shored up its defense this spring, added more weapons to its receiving corps, and made a much needed change in defensive coordinator. Now everything rests on the shoulders of the only quarterback with a fully guaranteed contract. I don't know if I completely agree with this. I would have had the Browns at like 25th. That may just because I'm a Steelers fan, but literally, I don't like them at all. Their team is just trash. Deshaun Watson did not play well last year, along with all the allegations and stuff. He shouldn't even be in the NFL anymore. But I didn't make that decision. An outside shot of winning the AFC North. I don't know. I think the Steelers have an outside shot at winning the AFC North. It's gonna be either the Ravens or the Bengals. Maybe the Steelers. I mean, hopefully the Steelers, but I gotta be honest. I don't know if it's gonna happen. But next up, we have the Giants. Here's the problem for the New York Giants. Tell me the problem. Saquon Barkley isn't happy about the franchise tag, and he'll commit to this holdout for a while. New York needed to create a much stronger receiving corps for this offense to take another step forward, but it will be relying on Paris Campbell, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, and Wan'Dale Robinson next season. If that's not enough reason for concern, the Giants do not have a top 20 defend. I think that meant to say defense, and that's a big problem in the NFC East. Yeah, I like the Giants team. I think they're a lot more improved, but Saquon Barkley isn't happy. They'll be relying on Campbell, Hyatt, Slayton, and Robinson next year, and they're not going to have a good defense. So there's a lot of problems for the Giants. They still have stuff they need to fix, but overall, they have improved quite a bit. Now, next up, we have my Pittsburgh Steelers. They have them in a playoff spot. Let's see why. It all comes down to Kenny Pickett. Yes, if he takes a second-year leap, Pittsburgh Steelers will be a playoff team. Yeah, I agree with that. They addressed holes on both sides of the ball, yeah, which should translate to a top 10 defense and a higher scoring offense. Okay. For that with Mike Tomlin, who still never had a losing season, you got reasons for optimism in Pittsburgh. You definitely do have reasons for optimism here. Yeah, we fixed everything that we had wrong. Like honestly. We got a great offensive lineman, then we got a great cornerback, then we got defensive players, then we even got a tight end. Not sure why, but we got a tight end to be a double punch for Freiermuth and him. So, yeah, a great draft for us. I think we had the best draft in the NFL, but that's just me. Yeah, top 10 defense for sure. Like, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick. You can't go wrong. Even Patrick Peterson now this year. You can't go wrong with this team. We're a playoff contender this year. Minnesota Vikings now. They seem to keep flirting with a mini reset, but they only have inched their way closer toward it this spring. Kirk Cousins returns. Jordan Addison is an upgrade over Adam Thielen, and Brian Flores will make this defense look a lot better than the league worst unit we saw at times in the second half of the season. It will be an uphill battle, but the Vikings have a shot to win the division and host a playoff game. Yeah, I think so. They got Jordan Addison. I forgot about that. But last year, obviously, they were the favorite. Like, at the halfway point, they went 11-0 to start the season, which is insane. People thought they were going to win the Super Bowl, but they didn't. They kind of fell apart towards the end of the year. But Jordan Addison, they got him, who's an incredible receiver. Then they obviously still have Justin Jefferson, who is one of the best wide receivers in the country. So big, I don't even know. This is a good team, I think, and they're gonna make the playoffs again this year. They say they have a shot to win the division and host a playoff game. Yeah, I think they're gonna make the playoffs. Maybe win the division. It's gonna be close, but I think I like this team really. I like this team. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, they also got Brian Flores too. Detroit Lions. The Lions did not have an impressive NFL draft, but it came after efficient use of their cap space in NFL free agency. We expect this defense to take a step forward next season, at times playing like an above-average unit with the offense maintaining its top 10 form. The Lions are the best team in the NFC North. Yeah, I love the Lions team. I love it. They didn't have a impressive. Yeah, I agree with that. They don't have a great draft, but they definitely have a shot at winning the NFC North. But next up, we have the Jaguars, who were quiet this offseason, and that was expected after the free agency frenzy. But the big splash is the reinstatement of Calvin Ridley. As long as he stays healthy, the Ridley, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk trio plays a running back tandem of Travis Etienne and Tanks Bigsby can put Trevor Lawrence in the running for NFL MVP. I mean, I suppose so. If if their running backs along with their great wide receivers step up, then yeah, sure, he can win MVP. Baltimore Ravens saved their future, did they though? They signed Lamar Jackson to one of the biggest contracts in NFL history. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Baltimore ensured it has an MVP caliber quarterback for years to come. Plus, the Ravens' offense will be a lot better than we've seen in recent years, thanks to the additions of wide receiver OBJ and Zay Flowers, plus the hiring of Todd Monken as offensive coordinator. Unfortunately for Baltimore, its defensive consistency and durability may be an issue. Obviously, they're known for having injuries all the time, but I think they had a great draft. Odell Beckham Jr. is still a great wide receiver to this day. And then Zay Flowers, obviously. Zay Flowers is solid. He was a top 5 wide receiver this draft class. But I think if you got Lamar throwing the ball to you, then anyone can be great. Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks may have the best NFL offense in 23. As long as Geno Smith repeats what we saw last season, Seattle can beat opponents on the ground. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet on attack defenses with the best receiving cores in the NFL. Plus, Seattle's defense looks a lot more talented, and that should help it in the playoffs. Yeah, they do have a very good offense. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, two incredible young running backs. Geno Smith played incredible last year, and I believe he won Comeback Player of the Year. And then who is their wide receiver? DK Metcalf. Oh man, yeah, they are a scary team. You better watch out for the Seahawks. Well, I better watch out for the Seahawks because we play them next year, so that's a little scary. Chargers. Okay, Chargers kept head coach Brandon Staley around and hired Kellen Moore as their offensive play caller. It's the right decision and should result in Los Angeles being a more well-rounded and consistent team next year. For now, what keeps them out of the Super Bowl tier is the lack of track record and some uncertainty with the run defense and player health. Yeah, they get a lot of injuries. The run defense, yeah, it's such hit or miss. You never know. It's very inconsistent. But they did hire Kellen Moore, which was a good pickup for offensive play caller, and they kept their coach, Brandon Staley. They're still a top 10 contender. They're going to win their division, I believe. Well, are the Chiefs in their division? Yeah, the Chiefs are in their division. So, maybe not win their division, but they're going to be a great team. I'll just say that. And now we get the Super Bowl contenders, who, number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills are just hanging in as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They have been for the past, 3 years. Josh Allen's penchant for forcing throws and bad decision-making, compounded by an average supporting cast around him playing a significant role in Buffalo's collapse late last season. Buffalo's defense is also showing some signs of regression. The Bills have another year, but they're close to being viewed simply as a perennial playoff team. Yes, they are. They are still a Super Bowl contender this year. I believe they are. But every year we think that. Every single offseason we say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they come up short every single year. But he does force some throws, but I don't know if he has bad decision making. I think he's a good decision maker, but compounded by an average supporting cast around him. They have Stephon Diggs, obviously, who's their best player, and he's going to need to step it up. But their defense is, showing some signs of regression. We'll have to see what happens in Buffalo. I don't know. I don't think they're winning it this year. I don't even think they're making it this year. Miami Dolphins. If Tua stays healthy, the Miami Dolphins can win a Super Bowl. Wow. Already armed with one of the highest scoring offense. Miami landed defensive coordinator Vic Fangio and then provided him with Jalen Ramsey and David Long Jr. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense, phenomenal coaching staff. All Tua needs to do is stay on the field. I agree with this completely. They are an incredible team. Incredible. Just think about it. They've got Tyreek Hill, and now, so he's the best wide receiver in the country. There's no question about that. But then also they've got possibly not the number one defensive player in the country, but a top 3 defensive player of the country, Jalen Ramsey, and then David Long Jr. as well. Phenomenal team all the way around. Tua, yeah, he just needs to stay healthy. Obviously, he got hurt like 3 times last year, and it was serious concussions. So, Cowboys as a Super Bowl contender, let's hope not. Cowboys needed a number 2 cornerback, a number 2 wide receiver, and a bulldozer at defensive tackle before heading into the season. So the front office added a Pro Bowl cornerback, Stephon Gilmore, and wide receiver Brandon Cooks, and drafted Mazi Smith. Dallas might have the best defense in the league, and its offense could be just as good. Our one hesitation with this team is head coach and play caller Mike McCarthy. Okay. Yeah, okay, they addressed both of their needs. They needed a cornerback and they needed a receiver, and look what they got. Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. And then they got Mazi Smith as well, who I think is a very, very good player. I guess, I don't know. I don't like this team too much as a Super Bowl contender. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're a top 10 team even, but I don't know about a Super Bowl contender. That's just me. That is just me. But next up, we have the Bengals. As long as Joe Burrow is healthy and Lou Anarumo is the defensive play caller, the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl window is open. Cincinnati improved this offseason, adding left tackle Orlando Brown and strengthening its defense in the draft. Best of all, top cornerback Chidobe Awuzie returns in 2023. So yeah, this team obviously had an incredible year this past season. They won their division. They made a run. I think they lost in the AFC Championship. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, they got Awuzie back. Orlando Brown is a great player, Pro Bowl talent at left tackle. And their Super Bowl window is open. Let's see what they can do. And we got the Jets. Man, I don't know. They don't have to play at an MVP caliber for the Jets to be a Super Bowl contender. New York almost ended its playoff drought last season because of its elite defense, nearly overcoming a season-ending injury to Breece Hall and some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL. Healthy version of Hall with a Hall of Fame quarterback under center and a deeper roster is everything a team needs to contend for the Super Bowl. Yeah, obviously they picked up Aaron Rodgers. That was the biggest storyline this whole year. I don't know. I don't have them as a Super Bowl contender. I think they are going to be a good team. A great team, actually. Maybe make, like, the divisional round, maybe even the championship. I don't have them as a Super Bowl contender, though. That's just me. I do have this team as a Super Bowl contender, though. Quarterback is a lingering concern for the 49ers. Brock Purdy's elbow surgery could sideline him through the start of the season, or he'll be available late in training camp. However, shakes out, the 49ers have one of the best NFL rosters and a phenomenal coaching staff. We'll bet on them to make a playoff run as long as they aren't starting an emergency QB. Yeah, that's their only concern. That's my only concern with them. Their quarterback situation. If it wasn't for that, I think they would be the Super Bowl favorite. Brock Purdy, obviously a phenomenon last year. Phenom last year, actually. He just dominated every team he played. But, yeah, that's their only struggles now. He has an elbow surgery coming up. The next up, we have the Eagles. They came up short, but Jalen Hurts did prove that he was one of the best QBs in the NFL. And now Philadelphia heads into the summer with a rookie class that includes Jalen Carter, the best prospect in the draft, and Hassan Reddick clone in Nolan Smith. They are the best team in the NFC. I can agree with that for sure. And now we have who they think is going to win the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously won it last year and should be favored to repeat. They did lose Juju. They lost to Orlando Brown. Patrick Mahomes led his team to the Barney Trophy after Tyreek Hill departed. Mahomes is Tom Brady and any team with an all-time great